Hey there YouTube, it's your girl Kristen here. I'm a licensed esthetician, an educator, mentor, a YouTuber, and a mom. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, to this episode, and I could not be more thankful for all of you who are taking your time out of your day to watch this, and I promise you it'll be worth the time spent. I'm going to be dropping some good gems and tips for you. This is actually going to be a part 2 of the video that I posted last week where we talked about the most common mistakes made by new estheticians. Now, I saw you guys really loved that video. You had some great feedback, and after I recorded it, I literally was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to say this, I forgot to say that, and I was like, you know what, let's bring it up part 2, y'all. So here we are. I'm going to be sharing with you some more common mistakes that I've been seeing with new estheticians. Those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I offer a variety of training and online courses, and I've been able to work with a lot of students, a lot of people who are just getting started in the industry. I've just grown a huge passion and love for working with newer estheticians and sharing my knowledge, also seeing this business grow, and I've just been sharing with you what's been going on over the last 2.5 years, and I'm excited to see where this is going to continue to go. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already a part of this family. We're on our way to 70K subscribers. We're just getting started. So be sure to grab that pen and paper and continue watching. Thanks again for tuning into this video and continuing to watch. Before we get into that, I did mention before I do a variety of skincare and training courses, be sure to check out my resources down below. I wanted to share with you guys really quickly just a little map, the US map, and these stars represent where I've enrolled online students so far, and I'm happy to say there's 7 wonderful individuals. I just added Louisiana to the map yesterday. You know, we got a couple in Cali, we got some over in the East Coast, Florida, and I'm just so excited to be able to meet those wonderful people and talk with them more. Really, you know, add them to the network of my Radiance Academy, and I do plan to try to showcasing these people who have been trained by me and also the people who've trained with me here in person, which I always say is going to be a much better experience. Although I did put a lot of heart and energy and effort into that online course, and I do believe that it's really going to help to change a lot of your guys' experience, your guys' confidence, and I just could not be more excited to see what this year has in store for us. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already, and please don't let money be the reason why you decide to not pursue this. I've payment plans from 2 to 12 months that I've worked out with these individuals. I'm more than willing to help make it work around your financial situation. And once the balance is paid, you'll get full access to the course, and from then on out, forever and ever. There's no time limit. It's there for whenever you're ready to take it. So without further ado, let's get into these other tips. First tip, or first mistake that I have been noticing that I hear a lot or see a lot with new estheticians is a lack of ingredient knowledge. Now, of course, when I first got started, I remember sitting in the classroom and hearing the teacher talk, and I was like, like, I really felt like a fish out of water. I felt so out of place because I felt like everybody was nodding their head like they were understanding. But looking back at it, I'm like, you know what, it's fine. I was a huge tomboy growing up, and I knew nothing about makeup or skincare for years and years and years. Like, I truly didn't even have a facial or knew what a facial was until I enrolled in beauty school. So just to give you an idea of like how inexperienced I was getting started, like maybe that'll help you feel better, because it took a lot of time and conscious energy to get to where I'm at today. And for some reason, like I would say maybe after 1.5 years of doing this, it just clicked one day. It started just coming out of my mouth, and I was like, whoa, I know some things now. I did create a video actually not too long ago that talked about how to master ingredients and how to increase your knowledge. Now, I dive a bit more deeper into this in my online skincare training course, so know that there is a about 30 to 40 minute long video in that training where I dive pretty deep into the products that we use in that protocol and talk step by step through those key ingredients. That, you know, again, is just also going to scratch the surface. You'll feel more confident as you begin to practice. Now, what I'm seeing with new estheticians, and where I think it's a problem, because I don't think it's necessarily a problem to have a lack of knowledge, it's just going to come with time. But I think what the problem I'm seeing is that a lot of the times when I hear students or new estheticians talking to clients, they are saying false information. So again, I talked about this in the last video about making false claims and promising certain results. And so I'm seeing similar things, not just with treatments, but with selling products. So you want to make sure that if you're going to talk about products during a treatment or try to sell a product at the end, that you are saying the correct information. Like, don't be afraid to grab that product and literally read off of it, word for word, what it does. I'd rather you do that and maybe look dumb, but at least you're not telling the client like, hey, this is going to target your wrinkles, and really it's not going to do that. Just make sure everything coming out of your mouth is conscious and backed up with facts. And I get it, you know, sometimes we make some mistakes, but it's just something I've seen repeatedly by different people that I've taught, that it's just like, whoa, you know, don't say that to the client, because they're gonna get the wrong impression. The next thing I wanted to talk about was timing. So I did dabble on this a little bit in the last video, but I didn't get to really expand more on that because I just forgot. Timing. So we talked last time about not giving away your time for free. So if you have, say, like a more open availability that day or in general, and you're like, oh, you know, I'm really vibing with this person, and you know, she needs some extra extractions and this and that, and hey, let me throw that in there. I'm a huge believer on putting value on your time, and I just want you to make sure that you're not extending the service unless you're extending the price. And it's as easy as saying this. I actually have some more open time in my schedule today, and I'd be happy to extend your service from a 50-minute to an 80-minute. It would cost an additional $50. Is that something you'd be interested in today? And that's it. You know, it's literally, and I just think of it this way even when I sell retail. It's like when the nail lady asks you, do you want $5 for a callus remover? The answer is going to be yes or no, you know, and you should not be afraid of a no, because it's just a no. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to bite. But if they say yes, that's just extra money for you. And then you kind of made up for that extra time you were just going to be making no money. So there's that. I expanded on that a little bit. And then also what I have, and some of these mistakes I'm sharing with you actually are feedback from other clients that I've had that maybe had gone to other estheticians in the past. One of the ones that stood out to me was I had a client who shared that she had booked a hour-long service with an esthetician, and she only received 40 minutes of that service and was still charged for an hour. So I really want to encourage you to not do that, even if, and I will say there is some instances where I feel like I'll be doing a facial on somebody and they barely had extractions, or they didn't want to add any enhancements to their service, and you're kind of stuck with this little extra chunk of time. So what I do in that instant is I really just take the time to go through each step. I really milk out the steps. Let's just be real here. Like, I'll put a little bit more effort into the cleansing, to the massaging. I'll chat with them more about, you know, what their skincare regimen is. And I'm just taking my time. I tend to be a little bit more of a fast-paced worker. I know some of you guys are naturally a little slower, which kind of goes into my next point is timing is a huge thing for a lot of you guys too. Especially being newer and not feeling as confident, you might tend to work a bit slower. And that's, you know, like I said, it's fine, it's understandable, but at the same time, like, pick up the pace, guys. Like, come on, we're here to work, we're here to make money. Just little things like taking a long time to make towels or clean up or conduct the service. But I think sometimes we think because of what we do is so relaxing and chill, we tend to be chill. But at the same time, like, if you really want to make good money in this industry and have clients back to back, make everyone happy, you're gonna want to work with efficiency. I did make a video where I talked about like how to really refine timing, so I'll be sure to link that for you guys here in this video so you can watch it. But it comes down to little things just like about how your room is set up, what your processes are. Do you have a list that you're following when you set up, when you break down in between clients? Just get organized, and I feel like you'll feel a lot more efficient that way. And two, with timing, you know, again, people are coming here and they're paying you their hard-earned money to get a service, and they got lives as well. So we don't want to disrespect their schedules that, you know, they've formed around our appointments. So in the same breath, make sure you're giving them full time that they paid for, and also that you're not running overtime as much as possible. Now, I know sometimes clients run late and it just totally ruins our groove, but you have to be resilient in this industry, and it all just comes down to communication. If your client arrives and you're still not done with your client or whatnot, then you need to vocalize to the client like, hey, you know what, I am running a little behind. If you're able to even shoot a text to that person that's coming in next to let them know, because I know we've had an incident a couple times where we were running late, and you know, it is really hard for us to pick up the phone and like text, but you know, just if you can, at least if when the client arrives, peek your head out the door and say, hey, you know what, I am running a little bit behind. Is that okay? Is about 5 minutes okay? And just check in with the person. Like, don't assume that the client is just going to be all good with it. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Okay, so another common mistake I see is product usage or misuse of products. Actually, a lot of the time, you don't need to use a lot of it. And my rule of thumb is always, you can always add more. You know, it's really hard to take away, but you can always add more if you feel like you need to. When it comes to applying masks or you know, really anything in the service, be modest, you know, especially working for yourself. You'll start to notice a lot more how quickly products go. And I will say the most expense I had this past year was purchasing products. Treat your products like they're gold. You don't need to use a lot to make it go a long way. So things like masks or moisturizer, or even just your massage medium, you don't need, you know, if you get a good one, you're not going to need to use a lot of it. And then what I find the problem with using a lot of product as well is that when you're applying it to the face, it can tend to like pill on the skin. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where if you put too much of something and it starts like kind of coming off the skin. I noticed that when estheticians put too much product on, it starts to do that. And part of it could be, you know, maybe it's the products you're using, or you're not letting the serum sit longer and letting the skin absorb the product before you layer on another one. I get it. You know, sometimes at the end of the service, I know I'm kind of like, you know, slapping on the last things, but the client does notice. And I know that this has been some feedback we've gotten in the past. Just be more mindful. It's going to save you money in the end, and it's also going to give your clients a better experience. All right, next one. Let me take a little sip of water first before we get into this one. Next common mistake I've been seeing or hearing, and like I said, I'm not perfect. I've definitely done this in my past, and I'm much better about being able to gauge people's skin now, but over exfoliation. I touched on this in the last video where I talked about not getting too product happy or treatment happy, especially when you lack a bit of experience. So when it comes to things like dermaplaning or chemical peels or enzymes, things like that, you want to definitely monitor that and make sure you're not double exfoliating or triple exfoliating somebody. Usually in that bucket of exfoliators, you really only want to choose one exfoliation method in the entire facial. Now, sometimes you can get away with doing a double exfoliation, but you want to make sure with the company that you are using their products from that it is okay, because sometimes when we're using double exfoliating methods, it can compromise the skin and leave the client with that, you know, almost like burn afterward. Be conscious of that. Please follow your protocols. And if somebody expresses to you that they have more sensitive skin, like that should be your that should be your warning to not overdo it until you've worked on that person's skin multiple times and seen how they do with certain types of exfoliations. I don't dive too much into that in my beginner course, but I definitely will plan to try to bring you guys more advanced courses that talk about these topics more specifically. And if this is a topic that you find more interest in, like learning about chemical peels and exfoliation and you know, proper application of it and what can go together and what can't go together, I mean, that's a whole topic in itself, so stay tuned for that. Next mistake that I see, and maybe this is just like a personal pet peeve, but I don't think most people would enjoy this. So I noticed specifically during the cleanse that product tends to get in the eyes and sometimes in the mouth. I'm not a huge fan of that. So just be mindful when you're doing your cleansing or any part of the facial to not get product in the eyes. Making sure that when you are applying a cleanser, it's not too liquidy and it's not too thick either, but more particularly liquidy, because if you're putting it on the face, you know, it's more likely if it's liquidy to start kind of dripping into the eye duct area here. Just be careful of that, okay? You don't want to put anything in a client's eye. And I always put eye goggles. I don't know if you notice in my facial videos, I'm always putting eye goggles on the person when I'm doing the peels or enzymes, specifically those more stronger products. I'm absolutely putting goggles over the eyes to protect them. Okay, a couple more. Hang in there with me. I guess these can kind of like go together-ish, but having bad body mechanics and overworking yourself. I do in the trainings try to help students remain in proper body mechanics and teach about ergonomics. What that basically means is just not overworking your body. I know when we first get started in the industry, we're, you know, right out of SD school, we feel like we can do 10 facials in a row, but I want to encourage you to not overdo it and to be conscious of your body and making sure you're not overworking yourself. So making sure you're warming up, you're cooling down, you're stretching when possible between clients, and you're not overbooking yourself. My sweet spot with facials is about 4 to 5 facials in a working day. I used to be able to bust out 6 to 7, but I honestly started feeling it in my wrists and my hands, and I realized that that was like a problem, and it really only takes about 100 times to do a repeated movement before it could cause damage. You don't want to cut your career short. It's not worth it. Yes, you know, money is great, but at the same time, you want to be able to give quality services and to take care of yourself. And I guess another point that goes into that bucket would be, remember, you're not a massage therapist. Unless you have a dual license and you are technically a massage therapist, you are not a massage therapist. So I know, you know, I've shared with you guys like my massage course, and the spa that I worked at, the high-end spa, really did start with massage and their focus was more on massage. And that's the only reason why I felt like I learned more of that technique. I will say the massage is probably one of the best parts of the facial and the most compliments I receive in a service. But when somebody comes in and they're like, oh, can you put more pressure or do more, longer this, longer that, like, I have to kindly remind them, like, you know, I'm not a massage therapist. I can definitely refer you out to somebody, but I will do my very best and give the best pressure I can give. And that's how I address it, because I know some people kind of come in like knowing that they're gonna get the benefit of a facial but also massage. But just remember, you guys don't overstretch yourself to please somebody else, because that is not your job. Your job is not to make your whole service about massaging. It is about skin. One last point I'm gonna make is make sure that you are taking care of your skin. Doesn't mean you need to have perfect skin. I didn't say that. But make sure that you are on top of your skincare, that you are preaching what you're preaching to your clients. I can get really busy sometimes, but I really try to at least every other month or so to get a facial myself. Thankfully, I have Kristen working here with me and we're able to, you know, do tradesies with each other. I know for some of you that might not be as feasible, but would be a good thing to maybe go out and look and find an esthetician for yourself or go to a dermatologist. Start doing things to your skin. And so that I find myself constantly talking to my clients about my own skin and what I'm doing and the things I'm trying. And so I think as a new esthetician, sometimes we kind of forget that. So be sure to be, you know, a person of your word. If you're going to be working for yourself and telling people they need to do a 20-step routine and come in every 4 to 6 weeks for a facial, you got to be about that as well. I've been huge on self-care in the last about year or so. I've started getting my hair done again. I started getting my nails done again. I started getting facials again. I mean, part of that is because I'm a mom and I really lost touch with taking care of myself. And, you know, it's been good and felt good to get back into it. And even when it comes down to, eating right and exercising around your job and making sure you're bringing like good snacks and hydration for you during your shifts, you really just want to take care of yourself. You want to have long careers and you want to be able to present the best version of yourself to your clients. Am I right? Comment below if you agree. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button. We're going to wrap it up here. Hit that subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed those additional tips. And I look forward to seeing you guys back here on Monday next week for a new video. And until then, I love you. Stay safe and I'll see you then.